Hello everyone, Randy Tausig, Blue Core Leadership. Welcome to another episode of Leadership Lessons from the Cockpit. Today is part 2 of my conversation in the cockpit with Alex Corgan, President of Select Event Group. We dove deeply into the subject of delegating, the challenges around delegating and elevating so you can accelerate the success of your business. Alex has had to do that in his business because it's been moving very, very quickly. They're kind of on hyper growth. We had a really interesting conversation around that. Part 2, we go even deeper, and it starts in a very cool diner in Cape May, New Jersey, called the Flight Deck Diner. I hope you join us. In fact, I know you'll join us. See you soon. Oh yeah, so we have made it to the Flight Deck restaurant here in Cape May. We had a great flight. It was fun.
Really good flight.
Something interesting that I thought of is, for fun, I said, can I delegate the communication? You were like, no problem. You just needed some nuances like, my airplane number, and we were flying IFR, so there's some nuances there. You haven't done that? On the spectrum of letting go, and I'm going to let you eat a little bit. We'll eat a bit, we'll talk a little bit more, but where are you? Like, if I were to say from 1 to 10, 10 is you are completely comfortable with letting go. 1 is that you didn't want to let go of anything. I don't know if you were ever close to a 1, but it's your evolution of having to delegate, and at the high growth your company's at, you had to delegate. Where would you say you are right now? What do you struggle with still in delegating, if anything?
I mean, I think probably like a 5 or 6 in terms of comfort in delegating, but where do I struggle? I think it's that when you're when you want to be growing and you're always thinking about what's next, you're always taking on new things and learning new things that you ultimately have to delegate. So it's never that you're done. You're always, right, you've delegated, they're building below you, and then you find the next level of things you have to delegate. And I think that's a constant state of evolution for the business as we continue to grow it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you all are growing. And
the results are
there.
Yeah,
so
they are coming,
sometimes you fall on your face.
Yeah,
we all do. And actually, we've got to be willing to fall on our face because we learn the most from that.
Right.
But you guys are really moving forward, so obviously it's working. It's working. So.
It's working. Even when it feels like it's not, it is, I think, ultimately working.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna eat a little bit here, and we'll continue the conversation later.
Thanks, Randy.
Carroll traffic, Sirius 317 Charlie Delta, departing to the south from runway 16. I think it might also be worth mentioning the parallel between flight school and delegation.
Yeah.
I know we touched on it earlier, but one thing I think has been really cool to see is watching the way that the instructor prepares you for absorbing the responsibility of being pilot in command. And so there's a lot when you first start, as you know, about training and delegating tasks.
Right.
You start by landing off, but he's handling the rudder, or taking off, but he's handling the rudder.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, nope, you're on rudder also, right? So you absorb that task. And then you're up in the air and you're doing steep turns, or you're doing points around a turn, or turns around a point. And all these exercises that are really task-based, but they're really to prepare you for absorbing the responsibility of landing the plane, and then ultimately solo flight.
Right.
And the goal of my instructor is not to have me be a student forever, and if that was his goal, then he would hold on to the things he's otherwise delegating.
That's a good point.
And in the same way, we're trying to build a learning organization, and it takes that willingness to hand those things over and realize you're not trying to create lifetime students. You're trying to create owners and people who are taking responsibility for their areas of control.
That's a great point. That's a really great point. So we made it on the ground here.
We did.
Alex, you actually even did some instrument flying. We were in the clouds and you were hand flying the airplane.
Fly a little bit, yeah.
And that actually was helpful, talk about this whole delegation thing, because I had to get the weather and I had to dial in our approach when we were coming into here. So we did a little bit of the
sharing,
delegating, elevating each other. So, but really when we, all this conversation, I think we've got 3 main takeaways. The first thing is about traps, right? We get into the trap of thinking that we can't delegate or we won't want to delegate because, well,
number of reasons.
It's easier for us to do it ourselves. It may be hard to spend the time to get people up to speed, right? What are some,
and the perception that you're handing off your value. You're diminishing your value.
Yeah.
In fact, you're growing it.
That's right. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And the other takeaway is that the true value of delegating is that you are able to then elevate yourself to being able to do higher value things, right? And you've been doing that, right? I mean, if you think about where you were as you maybe started in this position and where you are now, what are the higher value things that you've been focusing on that because of delegation you'd be able to do that?
I think it's all about just the growth of the business. It allows you to focus on strategically what do you need to do to grow. And if you're still stuck in the day-to-day or in yesterday, then it's really hard to find that bandwidth to grow.
Yeah.
To be strategic and spend more time with the CEO and think that vision side of things, and then develop the strategy important to do those things. So yeah, I think it's tons of tasks, but certainly by handing off the responsibility of the day-to-day and each of our divisions, I've been able to focus more on key health elements like key client relationships, some of those big strategic goals that we have and initiatives.
Yeah, and then you just said it, delegating responsibility. It is possible to delegate tasks, and there's nothing wrong with that because sometimes we have to do that. We did that a little bit today.
Yeah.
And you were talking about that starts when you start to learn to fly. You get tasks, but then you graduate and you go into delegating responsibility. And when delegating responsibility, that's when things really move, the momentum really builds up, and that's when you can really let go of the vine and move into these higher value things. So this was a good day.
It was a great day.
Man, this was
Thank you
good.
for
So until next time,
Yeah,
thanks a
thank you
lot.
so much. This is
Really
great.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Randy.
All right.
07 Charlie Delta, left turn near discretion, Alpha to the ramp, my frequency. Have a great night.
Okay, left turn here, Alpha to the ramp will stay with you. You have a good night as well, thanks.